What's up, everybody? Welcome on into One Nation, presented by TonyBet. Wills and Trills with you, and it is a special Canadian Championship edition. Woo! The final is upon us, Jordan, and as Oliver Platt, this is his favorite saying, the time is nigh for the Canadian Championship. Every time I say that, he just shakes his head, because I usually use it in the wrong context, but this is the right one. The time is nigh.
That sounded great.
Tomorrow is the final of the Canadian Championship. It will be at BC Place. It's the Vancouver Whitecaps hosting Toronto FC. So we do have an all MLS final. Vancouver Whitecaps looking for the three-peat, third straight. The only other team who has ever done that?
Toronto FC.
Toronto FC. But they haven't won the Voyageurs Cup since 2020, which was really held in 2021. That was the one against Forge, having to go to penalty kick. So it wasn't
11 kickers.
Yes, goalkeepers got involved in everything. So I'm sure, Toronto would love to get back in the winning column as well with the Voyageurs Cup and say, hey, we're still a team to beat. But I'm also sure that Vancouver Whitecaps are feeling pretty good about themselves.
They should.
And they want that third Voyageurs Cup. And speaking of that game for Toronto FC going all the way, as you mentioned, the goalkeepers getting involved, somebody who may or may not want to get involved if there's PKs, as in being the one to kick, because goalkeepers always get involved with PKs. Let's bring in Vancouver Whitecaps goalkeeper Isaac Boehmer, who has played every single minute, by the way, of the 4 games in the Canadian Championship for Vancouver. Welcome to the show, Isaac.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Looking forward to talking with you guys and getting to it.
I appreciate it. Now, this is obviously just hypothetical, and it was only because we were just talking about the TFC game. But if it were to go the distance in PKs, how good are you at taking the spot kick? As opposed to saving, how good are you at taking them?
Be honest.
Well, I've only ever taken one in my upbringing, so I've scored it. So I guess
You're perfect.
There you go. I scored it.
You're perfect.
It doesn't get there, right? So
But
I've done my job and saved a few if it does.
Yes, but I'm sure you would like to take care of business a lot sooner than that. Where is the confidence of this Vancouver Whitecaps team heading into the CanChamp final?
Oh, we're very confident. We've won the last 2 years. We want to win a third time. Of course, Toronto's going to want to spoil that for us, but we're prepared to take them on and to win.
The three-peat, that's what's hanging in the balance. When you look at your squad and training every day and what Vanny has said and the importance of this tournament, how confident do you guys feel that you can go out and do this against TFC? Do you feel as if it's the appropriate matchup? Do you feel that you guys are absolute favorites going into this one?
I wouldn't say anyone's a favorite. These games can go either way. Toronto's a great team, and they've been doing well in the league so far. So let's see what happens. We'll be ready for it. We're always ready for the challenge.
What would it mean to get that three-peat? It's something special, obviously, to win, but what would it mean to this squad?
Yeah, it'd mean everything. It's history for the club to win 3 in a row. So, I think that says it all right there. And to do it at home in front of our fans, that's just even more exciting and would make everyone really proud.
Does the team feel different this year? Obviously, the Western Conference is very competitive, and you guys are right in the mix. Being in that top half, probably have secured a playoff spot, in my opinion. What's different about this team and this season?
I think I wouldn't say a lot is different, but I think just as a collective, everyone has the belief that we can go far in the league, we can win the third title, and everyone's just showing up every day, working hard, and we all know the objective of the year.
We know how we feel about Vanni Sartini. He is awesome. I'm just putting that out there. He's highly entertaining. He gives some of the best interviews. I love his honesty as well. He really gives you some real answers sometimes instead of those stock answers. But how is he as a coach? If you were to just pull back the curtain a little bit, what we see, is that what you guys get as well at training? Is he, what you see is what you get with Vanni Sartini? What kind of coach is he?
Absolutely. He's electric. If I could use one word for him, he brings a great energy to the guys. He gets us all riled up, ready to roll, and he really just wants the best for his players. And at the end of the day, we all want to play for him. And he's a great guy, great coach, and we really have trust in him.
You might have just answered it, but I'm putting you on the spot. What would separate Vanni Sartini as your coach than any other coach that you had? Like, what is his X factor that he brings every day?
Yeah, like kind of like what I just said. He's electric. He has so much energy, and he never really has any down moments. He's always trying to build us up, get the best out of us, really. Um, but yeah, I would just say his attitude towards everything is just so amazing.
Does he swear in Italian?
I don't know. I don't know any
Not yet.
Italian.
What's right? That's right.
What?
What's it say?
No, what did you, do not say what you just said.
Truro. That's what I said.
Oh, is that what you said?
What did I say?
Keep it that way.
What's a swear word?
I am not, I can't say a swear word. I thought you said something else. And if you
You
did,
can tell me off air?
check the tape because we're going to have to beep that.
Oh, man.
Isaac, I'll send you some words. And then if you were to use them on Vanny, just watch his eyeballs pop out of his head. For you personally.
Probably won't.
Yeah, no, you don't want to get in trouble.
Don't get in trouble.
But for you as a goalkeeper, I wonder how it is for you to prepare for these types of games, right? You're coming on in, you're obviously relied upon in the Canadian Championship. How do you keep yourself motivated? How do you keep yourself in shape? Like, practices your game to make sure then that you are ready for these big games when you get called upon them? How do you prepare for this?
Yeah, I mean, I play a lot with the second team to get minutes prior to these games, so I feel quite confident going into them. And of course, I've really only played in the Canadian Championship so far this year. So every single one that's kind of come up is like that's my pure focus for those games, and I can just really allow myself to understand what I need to do to get ready for those. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been playing with the second team a lot, so I feel confident that I've had that Leagues Cup game and then all the CanChamp games. So I feel ready to roll. I feel good. So that's all I can say.
Isaac, I'm a bit jealous of you, and it's not because you're a handsome man with great hair. It's not because you're about to play in a Canadian Championship final. It's because you won something that I could never win, and that is a North Star Cup. Can we talk quickly about the fact that you're on Pacific FC in 2021 and played in the Canadian Premier League, and that you beat Forge and slayed the Dragons at Tim Horton Field? What was that time like under Pamadou Ka and the Pacific, the Tridents?
Yeah, that was honestly, I was a little bit hesitant going into it. It was for the last 3 months of their season, but honestly, I had a really awesome time. Of course, we won a championship, so how couldn't you? But Paul was a great coach. I really liked his attitude and his work ethic for training for games. Just in general, he's a great human being, and I really enjoyed working with James Merriman as well. He's a great coach and a great guy as well. I mean, when I was there, the attitude of everyone was the type of attitude you needed to win a championship. You were going against the bigger guys, Forge, and I just think we really went there and took it to them, and I mean, played a great game.
Yeah, it was a fantastic game, that's for sure. Disrupting the Apple card, yeah. Obviously, in the CPL, when it comes to winners, of course, we know Forge is still pretty dominant. What was it like as well going up against CPL teams in the Canadian Championship and that kind of challenge that they pose?
Yeah, I mean, you know how these games always are when you go a higher division against lower division. I mean, they play like their life depends on it, and they're not very easy games. You have to stay really focused, like we saw in the last game against Pacific. Um, they had chances against us where we were sleeping, and they could have punished us, but we got lucky in those scenarios. But no, I mean, they put up a good fight, and it was really good games to be in, actually.
Mm-hmm.
British Columbia is your home. Vancouver, you're born and raised on the west side. Playing at BC Place, I know just the one game I played in there was at Electric Stadium. How does it feel to know that in a few hours you're gonna be there and possibly lifting that trophy?
Oh, I'm so excited. So excited. Just having family come. I mean, I wouldn't have probably thought 5 years ago or even whatever, a few years ago that I'd be playing only a few hours away from my hometown in a final. So
Special.
that's always so excitement and have a lot of pride as well. But yeah, it's going to be a special moment. Hopefully, things go in our favor.
We cannot wait to watch it, and we appreciate you taking the time, Isaac. Best of luck in the game.
Good luck.
Very much. Thank you for having me on.
That's Isaac Boehmer, goalkeeper with Vancouver Whitecaps, who will be in that final. It is Vancouver Whitecaps. It's Toronto FC. It is right here on One Soccer.
Excited.
I know. Now I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited. When you also, like, I mean, it matters, right? It's the national championship. Yeah. It's the Voyageurs Cup. You win this, you gain entry, right, into CONCACAF Champions Cup. There's also that's on the line. There is that kind of process as well afterwards that follows. It means something, to win this as well when it comes to being able to be in this other massive tournament.
And bragging rights.
And bragging rights. I mean, even just a smile on his face and, friends and family. And now the journey to get there, I also, not that I don't think it meant anything in the past. Obviously, it meant everything in the past.
Sure.
But now when you have more teams, it's just more levels to go through.
Yep.
So when you finally get to the final, you're like, yeah, we went through the gauntlet.
For sure.
Like, we had to defeat some teams to get here. It wasn't just like one game that you played or whatever. And considering they were also home and away again, the final was a one and done. But, having to take care of Cavalry, having to take care of Pacific, those were home and aways. Like, they had to put in some time here to get to the final.
Also, in years past, like a decade ago, it was teams that you knew, right? Stadiums that you knew. I think now as well, when you're looking at it, you got to go and play. You see a St. Laurent, and you have to go and bring your team and play on grass and playing in a province and a team that you have never played against. I think these type of situations really make the tournament something to experience, because you really have to go every time and be on your best behavior to go and win. You saw it with TFC as well, with their start with two semi-pro sides, but after they've won that, they had to go and beat a CPL team. So it's just having those experiences, playing those teams. You know that you've earned it, and it's been a road and a journey to get there.
So let's have a little fun. Talk about Vancouver and Toronto and why we think they'd win it or why they wouldn't win it. Right? So let's So give me a reason why the Whitecaps will win the TELUS Canadian Championship tomorrow.
I'll give you one, but it'll be in 2 words.
Oh.
Ryan Gauld. That man, that brother is different. That guy is dangerous. Besides that, I would say they're at home. So I guess it's not one word answer. You know me, I like to talk. They're at home. It's familiar territory. They did beat TFC there 2 years ago on that pitch. I thought they were the better side then.
That was the barrel roll.
Yeah.
That was the Vanny barrel roll.
I love how we associate these wins now with what Vanny does.
Yes.
Which is a sign of a fantastic coach.
And we better be playing the barrel roll in our pregame show, our halftime, and our postgame show.
Like, I just wanted him to go like this, and I would have gave him a 10.
Yeah.
That was a 10 for barrel. What a guy. But yeah, I think this team, obviously, we'll get to TFC and the fact that they could play spoiler, and it also maybe plays up the way that this game could do that for them. But you have to kind of pick Vancouver. Like, I'm 70-30 for going for the Whitecaps to win it.
Yeah, it's a little Captain Obvious for me why they will win it. Well, because they have been the more consistent team, not just in the CanChamp, but in MLS. And they've been a stronger side. They have a little bit more depth,
yes,
I would say, and a little bit more cohesiveness. So that's why I just think that they will win. All these different pieces that you also just mentioned, I know you mentioned one guy, but they have all these different pieces that I think come together quite nicely as a team. And that's why I think they'll win. But why will the Whitecaps lose the final tomorrow?
I think because finals are just that close in margin. I think rarely are you seeing finals that are 4-0, 3-0. Like, it's everyone trying to win that match. You're not trying to go and experiment and see what you can do. At some point, you look at your teammates in the 50th minute and you really gauge what this match is. Hey, we need to go and get a goal, or hey, we need to do everything in our power not to lose this match. So it can get to that. And if it goes down to penalties, I think you flip a coin. Yeah, there's some skill involved, but it's how big your keeper is on the day and how much confidence those kickers have. So I think TFC, the fact that they have to go and win one game to get silverware and they're not favorites, I know John Herdman and that side will relish that as well. Sometimes going into this match, it's easier to be David than it is to be Goliath, for sure. If they go and have the three-peat Vancouver Whitecaps, that's what everyone's doing. There's T-shirts printed. Everyone's talking about it. I've been talking about them doing the three-peat from before the tournament started. That's how much we favored, or I favored, Vancouver Whitecaps to go and win. Toronto FC, for me, weren't even an equation to go to the final. So now they can go and really be a Cinderella story and say, hey, we're gonna go spoil the party. And I think they'll use that fuel to maybe get them over the edge.
Yeah, I'll name names when we talk about Toronto FC, but I think why will Vancouver lose? Because to your point, it's an intangible. You can't put your finger on another team being desperate. and things that they'll do. Because Toronto FC not having the greatest of years, they're fighting to make the playoffs. They need it. They need it. John Herdman needs it. This hasn't been the easiest of first year ever being a pro coach. So the messaging that he'll be bringing out the biggest motivational speeches possible. Braveheart's coming out probably this time to get this team going. But they know that this is probably their only real chance. Again, anything can happen in playoffs. You just need to take it to the dance. I get it. But again, they're fighting to get in there. They know that this is probably their only real chance to get a trophy.
And what that means for a season, right? It absolves you a little bit to some degree, right? If you win.
Well, because then you're in CONCACAF Champions Cup too. That matters even to the organization, the money, all that comes with it.
You're with me.
All right. Who is under the most pressure to deliver for the Whitecaps?
Oof. Well, I guess it's one of those things if he's playing. I think for Brian White, for me, if he's in form, he's a guy that bags a brace. Like, he scores goal. I wouldn't say there's pressure on him, but I guess so. Because I think if he goes to a final and he doesn't score or he doesn't impact the game as probably one of the most, I think Gald's the most valuable player, but the most impactful player, you can argue Brian White. I think that people would be looking at him as to why he didn't show up for the big dance. So, again, a player that I think loves the pressure. I don't think he's really going to feel that, but there is some sort of pressure on him for sure, especially the fact that last season he led the team in goals. Like, looking at this season, he always steps up at the right time. So I think there's pressure on him.
I'm just going to go off the board a little bit here and just say pressure on Vanni Sartini getting the lineup right, getting the formation right.
Love that.
Yeah. Just
That's a big one.
I just want to see how they're going to line up, right? Because now you're going up against another MLS side here. It's for the trophy. Sometimes coaches get in their own way because he's been so vocal about the three-peat. And I love it. I love that he's honest in what he wants to do. But it's kind of like, so is he gonna completely try and change it?
Yeah.
Is he gonna buckle under the pressure? Is he gonna do what's tried and true? I'm always curious to see how the coaches come out, their lineup, their formation.
No, great point. I think also the chess match as well between both teams. It's always tricky when both teams play with three in the back and have wing backs as well, like how they match up against each other. Are wing backs just marking each other? Do you just sit them back and play with like a five? With these two teams who predominantly like to play a certain way with the wing backs and with the three and having central midfielders, it's just going to be a bit of a chess match to see how they match up and really focus on the day. Because if TFC go with, hey, let's man mark, they can make a day very difficult for Vancouver Whitecaps and vice versa.
Okay, so as mentioned earlier, let's talk about Toronto FC now, because the last time they won, that was the 2020 edition, which was like the COVID edition, which was really in 2021, 2020.
One.
It was 2020, but it was played in 2021.
Yes, you're right.
Capiche. Okay, so, and that was against Forge. Let's talk about them now. Why will they win the Voyageurs Cup tomorrow?
I said one name for Whitecaps, and there has to just be one name that screams and runs off the page for Toronto FC. And one guy who, we heard Boehmer say electric. I think electric for TFC has been Bernardeschi. Can you say his name in Italian?
Federico Bernardeschi.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. I just think on the day, I think a guy like him, whatever hairstyle he might be coming with tomorrow, the frame, the way that he moves, how fast he is, the way that he cuts in on the left foot, and you can't really stop it.
Dude, it's the left foot all the time.
It is wild to me because you can't. You know he's cutting on the left, but he does it with such elegance and pace and sharpness. It's acute. Chopping onions, quick. But he's a guy to go and change the game. Obviously, TFC have players, and there are guys that are on the squad that do bits. But him, for me, is just that. Maybe it's a free kick. Maybe it's a corner. Maybe it's just that moment in a lull in the match and it's 1-1 or 0-0. And he just pulls something out of a hat. So for me, that's why I'd say TFC.
I get it. There's those moments where it's easier said than done. We know he shoots on the left. Like, that's, I don't know if his right leg works. I don't
run.
know. Maybe, yeah, to run.
And maybe to control, I've seen him control the ball.
A little bit, but to kick, it no funzione. It's the left leg all the time.
Ora. No funzione.
Yeah, the right leg, it doesn't work. It's the left leg that shoots. But I get that it's easier said than done because you're right. He's crafty, he's speedy. But I guess, and that's where I think the challenge will be for Vancouver. You know he does that.
And who marks him, like you said?
Who marks him? Who's going to make sure he doesn't have that opportunity to shoot? Don't let the left leg get loose, right? But that's the only place he turns. It's the only place he shoots. But again, easier said than done to stop somebody who has the ability to create space for himself. But that's going to be the big challenge for Vancouver. So you're going to say that he's the reason why they win.
Yeah, I think so.
For me, I think I'm going to go 2 Canadian boys.
Let's do it.
And I'm going to go Jonathan Osorio, and I'm going to go Richie Larea.
Why not?
Because both of them have been factors as well in their wins, most recently as well, and Oso commanding that midfield.
And you
Richie,
noticed them, you noticed them when they weren't there.
Yes, when they were
played
not with the
at
team.
Tim Hortons Field against Forge.
The absence was felt. So
Yeah.
they are factors. They are, players who have impact in games. They can command games. They can take control of games. I mean, Richie Larea, as we know, he can get in your head. So you have to make sure he doesn't get in your head. He can draw fouls. He's good that way. Oso as well has vision out on the pitch, the way he's able to get the ball up. Just because he's getting older, the speed may not be there, but the smarts is still definitely there. And he just knows how to, I think, distribute that ball. And again, if you can shut that down, that's always the case in soccer. Control the midfield.
Yeah.
What do we always say? If you can control the midfield,
All right, baby.
again, easier said than done. But Oso's been great there.
Yep.
So that to me is 2 players why I think Toronto FC could win. Why will they lose?
I think, contrary to what you just said, I think having a team under John Herdman as well, I guess sometimes people could say it's organized chaos, but that could easily flirt with the line of chaos, where there's just, it's not that managers need to be poised all the time and composed on the sideline. Sometimes you have to yell. It just seems frantic at times. I think that could, in a final, when you're away with so much on the line, I think that could maybe bleed into the team a little bit. And you have someone as John Herdman, you could be spirited, cool. I'm not really getting at him per se. I'm just saying the fact that a team in a must-win game, you have to be united. There are going to be things that go your way. And even when I played in a big moment, sometimes the ball go out of bounds or someone would try to control it, easy control, it rolls out of bounds. I say, forget about it. It's done because you need to focus on the bigger picture. I think it could bleed in for Toronto FC tomorrow that these little moments just go and metastasize and they grow and grow. And then Vancouver Whitecaps are going to smell blood. And at that point, it can go from bad to worse.
So are you saying that if John Herdman's not composed,
I'm saying
that could be why they lose?
I'm saying that could easily be a reason, but I think that could also just blend into the team. Like, I think when I look at Vancouver, I see a team that is united. Even though things might get a bit rocky sometimes, there's still players to weather the storm. I think sometimes the players for TFC that are weathering the storm on the pitch are a bit clouded by someone yelling and the way that they act on the sideline.
I'm hearing that you just don't like coaches yelling on the sideline.
No, you yell when it's needed, but there should be a level of confidence.
Know when to do it.
Yes, that you've done your role to get them to that point. That the rest is obviously there's some things that you can tweak on the sideline, but there's a level of confidence that you should have as a coach to just let your team go and do their thing in a big moment.
I'm just picturing a Sir Alex Ferguson just prowling on the sidelines. He lost it a couple times too.
For sure.
But pick your moments.
Yes.
Pick your moments. You feel maybe it's a little too much sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I'm hearing from you. I'm hearing that if it's too much on the sideline by Herdman and company,
it could have a negative effect on the squad.
Sometimes other coaches get up too. I'm like, I don't understand why there's so many coaches.
I think what I'm referring to as well too is when you see a Prince Owusu chance in the semifinals.
You don't like the glare.
Like he's looking to the top and he's doing all that. It's theatrics for me. If I'm on the bench or if I'm a player that's on the pitch and I look at my manager doing that, it just serves as a bit of a distraction. That's my take of just watching the 4 or 5 games that they played in the CanChamp and all that's happened. It's you want your team to just go and battle on the pitch, and you don't want to be looking at your manager all the time. And there's situations where, yeah, it's bad, but he almost can make it seem worse.
He's been a story this year. Nobody
fair.
He's been a story for many. To your point, the performative stuff, things that he said when they were taking on semi-pro teams and wishing we had scored more against them, and it's
a lot.
That's a lot. I don't need to go there with the other most obvious scandal. So yeah, I get what you're saying, and players don't like that. I said that just a couple weeks ago on One Nation, right? The performative stuff. Sometimes the players are like, listen, there are things that just need to be kept in the room.
Yes.
Just keep it composed here.
And you
right?
can only break the seal once.
Okay.
You can only lose and flip and throw a table and do all that and be wild and have these team meetings and be center circle once, max twice for the year.
I think they'll lose because in order to win, you got to score, and I think that's where they've struggled. And I think going up against a tougher opponent, obviously in Vancouver Whitecaps, I think that's going to be tough. You know, again, to your point, like this, we all know it's not a secret, right? John Herdman wanted to make moves during the window. He wanted strikers. He wanted guys who could score. Those were moves that were not made.
Yeah.
And they struggle to score. Like Insigne, sometimes, like he has these moments and it's like, whoa, right? But they're not consistent. Prince Owusu had his time. It's not consistent. DeAndre Kerr had his time, right? It's not consistent. Bernadeschi, as great as he is, and he can score too, we know this. He's great at passing, right? He's great at setting up. But if he can score, obviously. But again, like there hasn't been consistency.
And that linear threat. That middle piece. Because like Bernadeschi, you could argue that, yeah, he has these moments.
Yeah.
But he's also a wide player. So he's not really in that center, the dogs, like, you know, that lion's den where you need to go and score goals.
Yeah. All right, so who's under the most pressure to deliver for Toronto?
I'd say Bernadeschi. I'd say whoever starts at a 9, right? I mean, that's what we have to hit at. If it's Owusu.
Basically everything we're saying, right?
Yeah, like I think for them, I also think Toronto FC, granted, it was a bit of like, I don't want to say beginner's luck because that's not doing them justice in terms of how they started the season. But they're figuring things out, but they really pride themselves on their defensive capabilities, keeping the game at 0, making sure teams don't score on them. I think whoever's playing in that 3 in the back and that back line, there's a huge onus on them really stepping up and making sure that you keep the likes of a Brian White or whoever accompanies him up top, that you just make the game not fun for them. Make it difficult. Make it hard for them to get into the areas that they like to create. Because you know Whitecaps they're gonna go forward, but you have to nullify what they do well. And if you don't, it could be a long final.
I think I'm going to go with you on that one too. Whoever plays the 9, because it's about scoring.
Yeah.
I'll keep my theme of coaches. Like if I'm going to say pressure, it's going to be John Herdman as well.
Yeah.
Because, and I know anything can happen in sport, and I'm the one that always says this is why we watch, because we don't know the endings. That's the beauty of sport. But if we go based on educated guesses and things that we've seen throughout the season, this is TFC's chance at a trophy.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of belief amongst pundits as well that even if they make the playoffs, they might not go far, right? There's a real belief in that, again, based on what we've seen in the regular season. So if you're John Herdman and you want this first year to be a semblance of success, you have to have a trophy. This is your real chance to do that. So I think the pressure, again, is on him. Get the lineup right.
Yeah.
Get that formation right. To your point, who's going to be number 9? Who's going to be, like, how are you setting up that back line to stop Vancouver Whitecaps? How are you going to be on the sideline as well to make sure that your team stays dialed in and nobody's kind of, you know, getting distracted by theatrics? So I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to deliver because it has been a wild season. It has been up and down.
Yeah.
It hasn't been smooth sailing. They came out of the gates blazing to start the year, and then reality hits hard. The pro game hits you in the face hard, and you're like, whoa, this is day in and day out. And winning 3 in a row, winning 4 in a row, that's not the norm, right? And how you bounce back. So I think there's been a lot of lessons along the way here, and suddenly you see them like kind of clinging to a playoff spot.
I wonder if Toronto FC win, what type of John Herdman celebration we're going to see. I just hope that he shakes hands before the game and after
There's a lot of that. This is, I think.
That's what I want.
So Vanny, I think, is going to be the role. We hope.
He's doing the role again?
We hope. I hope, if it's the role. But Herdman, from what I've seen throughout the years covering him, he turns and he does a lot of this. That's great. It's great. It's a great celebration. It's good.
Look, there's a couple, like, I think Vanni Sartini's role, that's the top. Also, though, I have to bring it up, the North Star Cup final last year, Bobby going like this to the fans. Like, is this what you want? Like Gladiator, that was great for me. I want something like that from John Herdman.
Keep the cameras on the coaches.
Like, is this what you want? You doubted me? I want that. Oh, lean into that, Johnny boy.
Because that would be Herdman. You doubted me. That would have to
beat
be
his chest, beat the badge, kiss it, really sell it.
All right, we'll find out. I'm excited now. Are you excited? Canadian Championship Final right here. One Soccer, tomorrow. We'll be there. We'll see you there. Thanks for tuning in to One Nation. Peace out.